You are listening to the Explicit Truth Podcast. Jesus Christ is one of the biggest cases of identity theft in human history. Not only did the devil change the name, but deceived the people to believe that Yahushua is part of a trinity. No. Yahushua is the Messiah, the Son of the living Elohim. Hey, what's happening? We are back, the Explicit Truth Podcast. I'm your host, 𝐤𝐄𝐄. We back. Hallelujah, man. Praise Yahuwah. Praise Yahushua, man. Man, thank Yahuwah, man. We are back here. I'm getting a little, if you hear a little congestion, you know what I'm saying, I getting over a little sniffle situation. But praise Yahuwah, man. Thankful to be at it again. Man, I'm excited. I'm excited because Yahuwah's just been releasing us to do more of these podcasts. So, I'm excited. Yes, sir. So yeah. So we talking about the Marine Kingdom's AI agenda. Hey, this is gonna be wild, bro. Hey, because you know that Little Mermaid just came out, and so, man, what I'm realizing. And I don't want to get too, pray this is not spooky for you or nothing like that. But when it comes to like film and the film industry, a lot of these films strategically are released on purpose in the season that they released in. I'm not talking about winter, spring, fall, that type of stuff. I'm talking about the season in which they are released. Something is happening in the spirit in which why these films are being released. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and say that, possibly it could be people in a dark room, doing some inclinations, which it likely is, right? But a lot of times those people are not always the people that are the CEOs, the presidents, the financial people, the executive producers. I mean, you'll have some witches in there and stuff like that. But oftentimes, these people think they're doing whatever they're doing, but it's other people that's controlling the situation, which are those witches and warlocks and stuff, and they are being released at a certain time, when they get these schedules, when they get these ideas. So we're going to talk about the Marine Kingdom's AI agenda now. I know if you go on the internet, sometimes you have different stuff about the Marine Kingdom, Water Kingdom, all that other stuff. And it can get confusing. Different stuff out there. But, what we want to talk about is the facts of the matter according to the scriptures, according to Yahushua. What is the Marine Kingdom, right? Now, Psalms 146 verse 6 says, tells us that 𝐤𝐿 made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and all that's in them, right? Now, listen to this verse. This verse is very interesting right here. Revelations 12:12. It says, because of this, rejoice, O heavens, and you who dwell in them, and woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has come down to you with great wrath, knowing that he has little time, right? And we're going to talk about more about that, right? So, as we know, we always talk about 1/3 of the host of heaven sided with the dragon. And that was kicked out. Now, you have, now they set up their water kingdom thing. Now, what you got to understand is a lot of these spirits are invisible. We haven't really got into like reptilians and all that type of stuff in this channel. But for the most part, they're in the visible realm. But you have some things where they're manifesting in the physical form, different places, and you have this water situation. Now we talking about spiritual, but there's a physical component to this. Let's talk. Now we're gonna talk about something which is kind of like, it kind of sounds like let me get the word right. Mythological or something, right? You know what I'm saying? And they making it like it's a comic book. But we're gonna talk about that too. We're gonna talk about predictive programming too. We're gonna talk about that stuff too. But let's talk about the Leviathan, right? So you got this thing in the scriptures called Leviathan. What the heck is this Leviathan? You know what I'm saying? Like you hear that name, you're like, what is that? Right? So Isaiah or Yeshayahu 27:1. In the day Yahuwah with his severed sword, great and strong, punishes Leviathan, the fleeing serpent, Leviathan, the twisting serpent, and he shall kill the monster that is in the sea. That's what it say. Say there's a monster in the sea. That's what it say. I'm just reading it. What it said. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get to some other stuff, right? Now, this is another one, right? This is I don't even have the reference right here from it. I want to say it's could be Ezekiel or Jeremiah, one of them. But it says the princes of the seas shall come down from their throne. Read that again. The princes of the seas shall come down off their throne. So we just got two things. We just found out, according to this, that there's a sea monster called the Leviathan in the sea, right? Which, if you foreshadow Revelations 13, where does the beast come out of? The sea. Now, of course, the sea can be a reference for people, and we're going to talk about that too. Because one thing I've been learning is a lot of times what I used to do when I wasn't really like clinging to Yahushua is, especially when it comes to prophecy, I would go on like, oh, see, it's talking about the sea. It just means the sea. And so one thing about Yahuwah's word is multi-dimensional. So it can mean this physical sea. It can mean the sea of people. You know what I'm saying? So like, don't get caught up into, that's how people come up with, whole religions, because they take one scripture and be like, no. It's strictly this version of the prophecy, so you don't want to do that. But it says the princes of the sea shall come down off their throne. So now we find out there's a Leviathan in the sea, and now there's also princes of the seas, and they shall do what? They shall come off their thrones. So now, hold on. So now these princes in the seas have thrones. And then there's a sea monster in there. Okay. All right. And they shall lay aside their robes. So they got robes, wherever symbolic that is, deep on with the Ruach, right? It says they take off their embroidered garments and put on, it says, and put on trembling and sit on the ground, and they shall tremble continuously, and they shall be astonished at you. Right? So basically, they're going to be judged. Yahushua's going to judge them. They ain't going to rule no more, because we know Yahushua's the King of Kings, and he coming and he shutting all that down. He's shutting down everybody's operation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it says, and they shall take up lament for you and say, how you have perished, O inhabited and seer-fearing man, the city well pleased, who was strong at sea, she and our inhabitants, who put with their fear on their inhabitants. Right? Another verse, this is from Job right here. It says, let those curse it who curse the day, who are ready to stir up Leviathan. Another right here from Psalms. It says, you divided the sea by your might. You broke up the heads of the sea serpent in the waters. Psalms 34:14. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Is when you start getting into like, looking into this stuff, looking into the Leviathan, a lot of people got theories. A lot of people got theories on what the Leviathan is. Of course, it goes back to people saying it's the dragon. Particularly, we want to get into the spirit archetype, or if you want to say that, the archetype, like the spirit, because one things I learned what Yahusha has taught is when it comes to spiritual warfare. Now, Christianity, when you go to deliverance ministries, they always like, oh, you got to say the name of the spirit, in the sense of like, if it's Tommy or whatever like that. Now, that can be deceptive, right? That can be very deceptive, because what you need to learn is when Yahusha asked that spirit, what is his name? From a Hebraic standpoint, when you ask something its name, you're asking for the function of that spirit. So, because when that spirit said it was the legion, it said because they are many. That was part of the function. That was the function of it, right? So, what's the function of a Leviathan spirit versus, let's try to see, what it is, like try to, going through this whole, merry-go-round type of situation. What is the archetype? Like what is it doing, right? So the Leviathan is code word for the Nimrod spirit, right? Which is code word for rebellion, pride, or we're gonna talk. It's a word that's similar to these words, but I'm gonna say that for later because we're gonna build up to that. So when you hear the Leviathan, that's the spirit of rebellion and pride, and not just any type of. It is a strong, stiff, strong. You know what I'm saying? That's that New York. That strong, rebellious, prideful. I mean, like, just stiff neck, just like tough, like crocodile. Like it's just fierce. It's fierce, right? And that's and that's why when you bring up Nimrod, it's like, okay, yeah, this is a prideful spirit. It's ruthless. It's ruthless, and it's and just like it's a hunter. It's a hunter. It's a hunting spirit. It's a diabolical that's it's like and I hate to use an example, but it's like a spirit that'll run somebody over in a car, like somebody walking on a sidewalk, and they just run them down and then back up and run over them again. Like it's that type of spirit. It's that ruthless. You know what I'm saying? And the only way you can deal with this spirit is just you got to cut his head off. You know what I'm saying? And that's why Nimrod he died like he died, because Yahuwah is showing us something with that type of spirit, with this type of Leviathan spirit. You gotta cut the head clean off. You can't even cut the arms off. You can't cut the legs off. You gotta go for the top. You know what I'm saying? And this is what you're dealing with. All right, so now let's connect that back to the image of the beast. We talked about the image of the beast. We talked about what's now being promoted. The spirit of JC, Jesus Christ, who is not the same person as Yahushua HaMashiach. That's these are two different people I'm talking about. What you have to remember is there are two main spirits that work together. It's the beast and the false prophet, i.e., the spirit of pride and rebellion and the spirit of divination. We talked about that, right? They work together. They work hand in hand, right? The second beast. Now we're going to get back to the marine kingdom. This is all talk about the marine kingdom, because remember, Revelation 13, the beast comes out of the sea. And we're going to talk about analogies with the sea being like the sea, and then this, we're going to talk about that. But the second beast was permitted to give breath to the image of the first beast, so that the first beast could speak and cause all those who refuse to be killed. That's Revelation 13:15. the spirit of divination, right? Which is the second beast that's from the land, right? Makes an image of pride and rebellion. Because we're gonna talk about the archetypes of the spirits versus, oh, it's gonna be the president, this and that. We're gonna talk about the spirit realm, right? So it makes an image that is an image of rebellion and pride. For what purpose? For it to be worshipped by men. In other words, the second beast, divination or false prophecy, wants people to worship pride and rebellion. You see what I'm saying? Divination, whole deal is to get people to worship pride and rebellion. So that's why when you look at the white Jesus and you look at that image, and not just specifically the image, but that the spirit of the image, that, because people can have the spirit of that image, the spirit of that Jesus Christ, that divination, they can have that spirit moving them to worship pride and rebellion. That's why when you talk, when you have some conversations with somebody that's deep into that spirit, they'll be on. Let me move this up a little bit. They'll be on the pride and rebellion, right? So we gotta know what we're dealing with. Okay. All right. So hallelujah. Now, that spirit leads the spirit, like when somebody is in divination and they are worshiping the spirit of rebellion and pride, it's leading them to a spirit of blaspheming, right? In other words, those who worship the spirit of pride and rebellion, it leads them to this to blaspheming the Ruach HaKodesh. I'm not saying that it will, of course people have the ability to repent, but it's leading. That's how the leading goes, right? And and I don't know if I said this explicitly on the channel, but I'm gonna say it now, is what Yah has revealed to me. Now, I'm not saying now what is being said, what I'm about to say is the top, the spiritual level. I'm not getting into, because a lot of times people get into like physical things when it comes to the prophecies, and a lot of things the Ruach hasn't revealed, because things have to play out, and we know in part. But I will say that the mark of the beast spiritually is blasphemy of the Ruach HaKodesh. When somebody has taken the mark of the beast, they have blasphemed the Ruach HaKodesh. Okay? Now, we're not getting into if it's a chip or if it's this or if it's that. We're not getting into that, right? What we are getting into is we get into the spirit of the matter. And the spirit of the matter is, when somebody take the mark of the beast, they have blasphemed the Ruach HaKodesh, which is the unpardonable, unforgivable sin. It won't be forgiven in this life or the next. You're done. You're done, right? You will not be forgiven in this life or the next if you take the mark of the beast, right? And that's why we talk about on this channel, we talk about this, the spirit of blasphemy, these different doctrines, the oneness, the Trinitarians, because I'm not saying you a Trinitarian, you took the mark of the beast, but that doctrine leads to blasphemy of the Ruach HaKodesh. The doctrine of oneness leads to blasphemy of the Ruach HaKodesh. It leads to that. That's the intent of that spirit behind that. And that's why you need to know that Yahusha is the Mashiach and he is the bond of the living Elohim. And we stress that on here, right? And you need to find out what that means as the Father reveals that to you. So once again, you got the oneness cult, you got the Trinitarians, you got the Bonitarians, you got the Unitarians. We're actually going to do a video, y'all willing, on Unitarians, Trinitarians, Bonitarians, Pentecostal oneness, it's a whole host of madness that's coming against Yahushua that's given a different it's a different spirit, right? So let's go over it. We got princes of the seas, we got Leviathan, we got the sea beast, we got his hordes, we got his hordes with them. We got Babel, queen of heaven, queen of the coast. Remember Revelation 13, the woman rides the beast. Because you got to put the woman in there, right? So Babel rides the spirit of rebellion. Now this is very interesting because Yahuwah, man, the scriptures just how he wrote it is it's just poetic, man. Because a lot of times people will get caught up on the surface of it and don't really what he's saying. So he just said Babel is riding the beast. Who is the beast? The spirit of rebellion. Pride. Right? Now, once again, I want to clarify. I'm not saying that's the end of the matter. There are going to be people, things, spirits, and physical things that are going to happen that are going to be the representative of these things that I'm saying. But these are the manifestations in the spirit realm of these things. There's a physical thing too. I'm not just saying it's just spiritual. No, it's spiritual and physical, right? All right. So Babel is confusion. So confusion rises the top of rebellion and pride. On top is the power position. So in other words, confusion is stirring rebellion and pride. You see what I'm saying? You ever see them? So this is gonna be this. Who just dropped in my mind. So you ever see like when Halloween come around and they have a witch, right? And what is the witch doing? She got a bowl or whatever them things are, and she doing what? She's stirring the thing. What are they telling you? They telling you Babel is stirring up, just like what did Job say? The people who stirring up Leviathan. What's she doing? She's stirring up Leviathan. She in there stewing it, stirring up Leviathan, stirring up confusion, stirring up rebellion and pride. And it worked together. It worked. It's so crazy. It's so crazy because when you see the spirit of confusion, because think about it. Even when you had like, let's talk about real matters, right? When you had like, let's say when you had like all these cases, you had you had Freddie Gray, you had I don't know if I said it right, but you had like George Floyd, you had like all these situations happen, right? And really starting with Trayvon Martin. But, you know, you had the thing where they had the fists in the air. You know, if you go back and study the fists in the air thing, you see that it's tied to Egypt and all that stuff. But it's a symbol of pride, quote unquote. You know, that they have like this thing where it's like good pride or whatever, you know, of course, like it's Pride Month. And we don't co-sign that. That is demonic. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't. Nah, and that's another whole nother topic for another day. But we don't co-sign any kind of pride or Pride Month or any of that stuff, right? We're gonna talk about the LGBTQ plus one day. Okay, back to the matter. Is you had that fist, but that fist also symbolized rebellion. And so what they did is the people went into confusion, and then what happened? The pride and rebellion came out. It's literally like these demons been studying the science of how people work, and they use certain things. But anytime the spirit of confusion goes forth, it's trying to provoke pride and rebellion. So that's how that works. But you have the Trinity, right? The Trinity of spirits, which is confusion, rebellion and pride, and divination. But confusion and pride, they come together. They're coming from the marine kingdom. Now this is interesting because remember, Revelation 13 says, where 𝐤𐄄𐤄𝐄, John, said he saw the beast coming from the sea. Now remember, we talking about the marine kingdom, we talking about the water, right? Now once again, so you got the beast and the woman that rides the beast, and we're talking about the spirits of those, which is the confusion and rebellion and pride. They coming together. So the confusion is the Babel. Babel means confusion by mixing. You got the Leviathan, the sea dragon, right, which is the Nimrod. And it's crazy because Nimrod was depicted as a sea dragon, like he was a, which is a whole nother thing. But you got this spirit of pride and rebellion, but they're coming from the waters, right? Once I'm gonna read this verse. I stood on the sands of the sea and I saw a beast coming out of the sea, the Leviathan. Remember, it just said that it was a thing in the sea, right? Having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 10 horns. Having 7 heads and 10 horns, and on his horns 10 crowns, and on his head names of blasphemy. So we have multiple levels. We have the sea, meaning the sea, like the marine kingdom, like it's sea, like water, sea, real water. But you also have symbolically sea, meaning sea of people, like the people, right? So, but we're not gonna get too much into that. But I just want to let you know that, because a lot of times people just go one to the other. And then you have the spiritual, but the spiritual matter of that too. So the beast is coming from out of the people too, right? The beast is coming out of the people, and this is gonna be interesting because this is what we're gonna get it. We're gonna get to the physical level of it too. So confusion and rebellion are coming out of the people, right? It's coming out of the sea. Now, there's something in that in the seas, spirits in the seas. But we talking, but also symbolically, those spirits that are coming out of the sea are influencing the people. Hope you understood what I said. The spirits that are in the actual sea are influencing the people that are on land, right? And confusion and rebellion are coming out of them. Okay? Now, that's how it's manifested. That's how the marine kingdom is manifested. And what is their agenda? What is the main agenda, or one of the agendas of the marine kingdom? So we're gonna back up again. So we have the Leviathan, the sea beast, that spirit of rebellion and pride. You have the princes of the seas, which we talked about are like the hordes of, because remember you had and I'm not saying this is a identified as one of the princes of the seas, but remember in the book of Daniel you had the prince of Persia, right? So you had the prince of Persia, and but showing you that there are principalities over territories, right? So that's a territory. Persia was a territory. So you also got to know too, according to what the scriptures say, is that there are princes of the seas. So that means that there are, because I think even some talk about how messengers was at the Euphrates and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But different thing. Not saying what side or trying to pin them into a category, but what I'm saying is that there are jurisdictions in the sea, right? And we're going to see that when we talk about the Aquaman and all that stuff like that. So you got that situation. So you got princes of the seas. These are actual demon principalities that have Ephesians chapter 6, right? Ephesians chapter 6 talk about, put on a full armor of 𝐤𝐄𝐄, the principalities, the atmosphere, all that, So you have that arena. But those spirits, those princes of the seas, in the actual sea, whatever they doing, however it work, they are influencing people on the earth. And that sea, the people, that sea is where the confusion and the rebellion is going to come out of, and is coming out of, right? Because there's always a pretext before the real text, right? But we're talking about what is the agenda of the marine kingdom. You can't talk about you can't talk about the agenda of the marine kingdom without talking about Hollywood. You got to talk about, because that's where the manifestation of it is most prevalent. Not to say it's not in other places, and it's in other places, in entertainment and, different places. It's everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I mean, for God's sake, you have Starbucks, whose logo is a siren. You know what I'm saying? Is a mermaid. You know what I'm saying? And so you look at these mermaid things, and people are like, oh, a mermaid. You know what I'm saying? And they be thinking that people, especially, let me tell you this, as a writer, writers do a lot of research on the topics that they're writing about. So ain't nobody just coming with no like they didn't make the mermaids up. You know what I'm saying? Writers didn't make them, like, they researching this stuff. They looking into this stuff. So when you see a Aquaman, which we're going to talk about, when you see an Aquaman and you see this stuff, like, these people be looking into, reptilians, all kind of stuff. Like, people be surprised. But these movies are making billions. Matter of fact, I'm going to show you the figure of what Aquaman made. Aquaman made like $1 billion. I think it was one of the franchise. It did some kind of record. You see what I'm saying? But people watching, we're gonna talk about predictive programming too. We're gonna talk about that. So Hollywood, right? Oh man, this is warming up. It's warming up. Forgive me for my congestion if you hear it, but praise Yahuwah. Hollywood is the biggest tool for the agenda of the marine kingdom, the dragon, Shaitan, the fallen. Because really, when you talk about that beast, you got to talk about the dragon. You know what I'm saying? Like, all these spirits are, basically linked to him. You know what I'm saying? And are him, because he's the embodiment of all their evils. You know what I'm saying? All the fallen. So here's some agendas of the marine kingdom through Hollywood. They have shaped the world view of black men, so-called black men. They boosted the ideology of white supremacy. They introduced and normalized gun violence, fornication, and lawlessness. They prepared people to receive and worship AI and the image of the beast, the anti-Messiah, and the false prophet. War, famine, and pestilence and death, right? That's what they promote. And human sacrifice. So those are some of those are like 6 things, right? And what they've used is a tool called predictive programming. So I heard of this, when I was first waking up, and Yahushua was just waking me up and just, sharing things with me. Some of the stuff I was how do you say? I was just looking at stuff. Like, it wasn't, I ain't gonna put that on Yahuwah to say he was sharing some stuff. I was just going down the rabbit hole. You know what I'm saying? And I came across stuff like that as MK Ultra, and you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, you start getting into stuff. And there's a lot of disinformation out there when it comes to, and that's why, man, sidebar, when you doing this research, you on the internet, whatever, man, center everything through Yahushua, man. Like, if you want to get some information, seek Yahushua. Like, ask him about it before you are moving and doing and this and that, because you will be led astray. You know what I'm saying? Like, thank Yahuwah, he brought me back from the deceptions that I had got on before, you know, in the past. And I got on them because I was so much into researching information and trying to find the next thing and all this stuff that I really wasn't focusing on the main thing. The main thing is Yahushua HaMashiach. Like, he is the truth. So if you want to get any truth, you got to go through him. And so what happened is people get information and people get knowledge, and knowledge is increasing, but they also going into the deception. You know what I'm saying? So don't let that be you, man. Like, you know, this information, even that I'm sharing with you now, it was the result of, you know, Yahushua relaying this as we walk with him. So predictive programming. Predictive programming is the increases the public's acceptance of a planned future event. Right? Now, this is the cold part. The cold part is because a lot of people, you know, now, especially when you hear about conservatives and you hear about the Republicans and the Democrats too, is when you start talking about global dominance and, you know what I'm saying, one world, all this other stuff. Now, I think we kind of talked about it before. Now, early on in my walk, because once again, they have a lot of false narratives out there, a lot of false end time scenarios. You know, people talk about Rome, this and that. You know what I'm saying? But it's to throw people off the trail. You know what I'm saying? Like, because the devil, he got layers of deception. You know what I'm saying? Like, you get to the first layer, you think it's it. It's like, no. So the thing about it, and the reason why I say that is because a lot of times, you know, back in the day, they'll have these remember they used to have them, I know you've seen it, like the little cards where they had like, oh, the Twin Towers get hit or this get hit. Now, those things are kind of dangerous because it can get into like divination and the tarot cards. Because here's the thing, is these spirits don't know the future like that. So that's what you got to understand. So they're planning stuff according to the wickedness in their heart. But the wild thing about it is it's all still, it's like Yahuwah's still playing them because he allowing them to think they actually doing something when it's actually falling right into Yahuwah's hands, and it's gonna be the plan that he want them to do. So they thinking they doing some world dominance, or they thinking. So what I'm saying is, it's all about the ruachs or spirits of these entities that are influencing the evil agendas of man. Meaning that, because you can be really naive and think that people, yes, I'm not saying that there's not people going to, you know, Switzerland or wherever they going, or some Bilderberg stuff. I ain't saying they not doing that. But what I'm saying is that you got to look at the spirit. Is it could be just like, and I say just like on the flip side, on the righteous side in Yahushua, I can have a brother I ain't talked to in a while, and we just, it's like, man, we've been eavesdropping on each other conversations. Like, man, y'all just show, you know what I'm saying, man, y'all, you know what I'm saying, we just going back and forth, and it's the same. The Ruach HaKodesh is on point with just everything Yahuwah is just showing his people, is showing his children, right? On the flip side, you could have them people that's on that confusion, they on that rebellion, they on that pride, they on the same page, right? Now, of course, because man has, his own agenda, they'd be divided against themselves. But on some agendas, they be on the same page. You know what I'm saying? So you got to realize that it's going to be the meeting of the minds and the construction of that coming together, more than anything versus you just thinking that they just smooth coming with a plan. It's more so the demonic spirits that are, kind of moving them and adjusting pieces. But anyway, predictive programming. The main idea behind predictive programming is that seeing things portrayed in popular media will prevent people from reacting to the same events that happen in their lives. Now I know that was deep. We gotta we gotta break that down, right? We gotta break that down. So it's like, what? Let me read it again. The main idea behind predictive programming is that seeing things portrayed in popular media will prevent people from reacting to the same events that happen in their lives. What does that mean? Fiction or nonfiction? So as a writer, you hear this a lot, right? You hear, and man, y'all was breaking this down to me, man. Like you hear fiction or nonfiction. That's the categories. So when they're looking at genres, they say, well, is it fiction or nonfiction? That's the two. They give you two options. And so fiction, let me see. Yeah, so you have fiction, right? So fiction means it's made up, it's not real. Nonfiction is based off a true story or it's real facts or whatever, So you have fiction, nonfiction. They give you two categories. Now, this whole model, even the model that what I just said, fiction, nonfiction, this model is a lie. It's deception. That whole thing about writers, fiction, nonfiction, it's a deception. It's part of the predicting programming. Now, of course, you got books. That's just books. A lot of books get made into movies, but that's just books. But why is it deception? Because there's no spirituality in that model. What do you mean? What are you saying? It leaves no room for parables that are based off the truth. Because think about it. Yahushua was sharing these parables, right? They were parables. I know we said the word parables. But the question is, because now, if you ask some people, they have a different answer because they believe that some of Yahushua's stories wasn't true. But this is what Yahuwah put me on. Yahushua is the truth. So the question is, was his parables, if you want to use their model, fiction or nonfiction? You know what I'm saying? Were they actually true? Or was it just a made up story for people to just to relay a message? That's how some people can take it as, he just made this story up to relate it, to make it relatable. I believe those are real stories. You know what I'm saying? Like those are parables. When he said a father, a father, his bond, his son was out there and he came home. Ain't that Israel? Don't all these things relate to the truth? Did that actually happen in some kind of society? A son actually came home, the prodigal son, a man sowing seeds, or somebody that killed his son and he came. You know what I'm saying? All these are stories that I don't know when they happen. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. But what I'm saying is in their model, they would tell you, is this based off, because you could be given a parable and share a parable, and it's not, but it's from Yah, and it's not really set up to be like, this is going to happen. It's really like a prophecy. You know what I'm saying? The parables were prophecies, the spirit of prophecy. But in their model, the fiction, not fiction, there is no kind of spirituality in that. And it's a reason why they leave that out, because their version of truth is based off, quote unquote, facts. Things that, like, it's like the science thing. It's like science is like the facts. You know what I'm saying? but it's like that's still made by man. There's no hierarchy that says this is the absolute truth of what you're seeing. You know what I'm saying? So in their model, the fiction or nonfiction is deception, but that's part of the predictive programming. Because we're gonna go back to this sentence that the predictive programming is for seeing things portrayed in popular media will prevent the people from reacting in real life. Now this is because when y'all was first showing me that, I was like, it's kind of like, okay, you got to break that down for me because that's just heavy. I'm not really fully grasping it. Okay, so this is what I got the write up of it right here. A person's brain will still think something's fake when they see it, which means that they will resist. Their resistance will be low. For instance, okay, I'm gonna just read this and then I'm gonna go back. It says, when you go to watch Spider-Man, you know it's a fake character. You know it's what they tell you is fiction, right? So you know all this about to be made up, right? Out of somebody's imagination. That's the assumption of what you go to the theater and see. You go to see Spider-Man, you go to see Aquaman, you go to see Wakanda. You just like, okay, this already fake. This is fiction. Somebody made this up, but I'm about to be entertained, right? Now, let's go deeper, okay? The storyline is fiction, but you are going to just to be entertained. But what are you doing to your subconscious? You are turning off your subconscious and telling it what you are about to see is not real. This is where it gets deep. So of course, there may be real elements in there and stuff like that, but they trick you. They trick you to turn off your subconscious and tell yourself what you are seeing is not real. But remember, these are screenwriters and directors that don't have the truth. Most of them are puppets and they're under Leviathan spirit. So now the person's mind, this is how predictive programming works. So now the person's mind is tricked by their own inception, right? Because I don't know at what point they really sold the fiction thing to people. But the fact of the matter, that goes to Stan Lee, Stan Lee and all these other people that made these stories up. Because remember, these fictional stories that they use like Superman, they use Moses, Yahushua, Messiah, type. They mounted it after that. But what I'm saying is they sell the idea of the inception that what you are seeing is not real. Is you don't see no Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? That they sell the fictional idea to you, and it's fiction. But subconsciously, what you are doing and what they are doing with the predictive programming is turning off your subconscious to say what you're saying to yourself is you say self, you know what I'm saying? You say to yourself that what you are seeing is not real. So when a future event orchestrated by the marine kingdom happens, your subconscious still is programmed to say what you are seeing is not real, because you gave yourself the thought of the inception that what you were seeing originally was not real. So when they show you something, your spirit doesn't react to it in the manner of resistance, right? Because that's why they can show you Aquaman and you just think it's just, oh, they just made this up. They just made this up in their imagination. So no one, but now if I go in here and talk about, what I'm talking about now, the Marine Kingdom, you know what I'm saying? There's princes in the seas, they got the dude having the trident and all that stuff. and you hear Mermaid, and you hear the Trident dude, you know what I'm saying? And they got uh uh the little Ursula thing, you know, the Queen of the Coast in there. And I tell you these things, and you think I'm flying somewhere, like, oh, this dude crazy. But you just went to see this movie to think it was just made up, and they got these things from nowhere. You just think that imaginations just bring, like, man just brings imagination out of his mind, like he just can come up with all type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's what they want you to believe. And now you looking at me like I'm crazy. You know what I'm saying? That's the predictive programming, is to put something in your face to give you the inception idea to turn your subconscious off to say, this is not real. So as they progress, you never suspect that what is happening has any kind of real connotations. That's how they do it. Now, because a lot of times they push that alien invasion stuff, you know what I'm saying? And that's one of the misdirections too, because we know that is really the invasion of demons. That's what it is, you know. Um, and here's the goal. What is the goal of the predictive programming and the inception that they do with these ideas? Because there's multiple goals, but let's just talk about this one. One of the first goal is for to break your will to resist. That's why you have a lot of these so-called black movies that, like, you had movies like The Help. You had a lot of these movies that seemingly, like, especially like, Hidden Figures, like a lot of these movies that had came out in the past years when black movies was really like starting to pop. And what it was doing was, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them, if you look at the thematic resonance, what I say what that is, that's a writing term that means basically the moral of the story. What the spirit of the writer is trying to get to, what the spirit of the director is trying to get to, what his MO is, right? His motive. The thing is to break, especially for so-called black people, the lost sheep of Israel, is to break the people's will to resist. Because why? Them spirits need to continue to break down people, so as they push their agenda, that people don't resist. So that's why they have a lot of traumatic movies, and it doesn't really have any type of solution. It doesn't give people the truth. It doesn't really give people any kind of, get to any kind of solution. But it leaves people empty, and it's to break people's will to resist. Why to resist? Because remember, we talked about the pride and the rebellious spirit. It brings an onslaught. So the thing about it is, but if the people gonna resist the onslaught, if the people gonna resist the confusion, then, and they're gonna be prepared for it to fight, then that is going to hinder their thing. And not only do they want people to resist their will to be broken, is also for them to fight for whatever's coming. That's when they done a really good job, when not only are the people's will to resist broken, but they actually gonna stand on the side of, the predictive programmers, you know what I'm saying, and fight for whatever. They're gonna be on the wrong side. So that's what you got going, is they want to break people's. That's why when you had like probably the last 2 years, like, y'all remember, it was like back to back. Right now they having the mass shooting thing. That's what the narrative now is, the mass shooting thing. But when you had like a lot of the men that were dying, a lot of brothers that were dying, like, they kept publicizing, they kept playing it over and over and over and over and over on the news. And why are they playing it over and over and over and over and over and over? And they playing the tape back, and they talking about it, and they, you hear it on the street, you hear it on the radio, you know what I'm saying? Why they keep playing? To break people's will to resist. because what it's doing subconsciously is the predictive programming, to where sooner or later people are gonna say this is not even real. And that's why it's a huge deception, even going with this misinformation, because you'll have mass shootings and people really have died, and you'll have people come and say, hey man, ain't nobody died. The predictive programming. Now they got people saying, why? Because they want part of the predictive programming is to detach you from the sensitivity that what comes with the Ruach HaKodesh. So now you growing cold. Ain't that what Yahushua said? Yahushua says that in the end that men will grow cold and start to hate one another. How is that happening? It's through the predictive programming. Because now you have a mass thing, that people call it a false flag. I'm not saying that some of these events, they're questionable, you know what I'm saying? And some of these events have been fake, right? But what I'm saying is, I also think that there's a spirit. There's a spirit. Like, a lot of these events are real. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these events are real, and what has happened is now you have this spirit that comes out there and brings confusion. So now people don't know whether it's real. If you in like that type of segment, you don't know whether it's real or you don't know whether it was a false flag, and that's part of the MO, is to confuse you, right? To get you on the side of rebellion. So now you got people that like it happened to Alex Jones. Alex Jones was a prime example of that type of rebellious, prideful spirit. Because you look at him, you like, man, he dropping a lot of nuggets, man. Like, especially for the conservatives and the, people that I was, I watched a couple of his things like back in the day, but you hear the other side of it, and people be like, man, that dude dark. Like, they saw his eyes turn black, like a demon, and that, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, but why is he seemingly dropping all these nuggets? But what it is like I said, the disinformation. So now people, an event happens, and people calling it a false flag, and people really died. Yo, they had people they had the casket was open. You know what I'm saying? I mean, people. Let me tell you something. When it comes, there are a lot of people. Like I said, I'm right, not that far from Los Angeles in California, in Hollywood. It's a lot of actors and stuff, and people trying to get on and do different stuff. But when you go to this is the thing, when you go to different places, film is popping in different places, but it's not really popping like California. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you go to like New York, yeah, film is popping. Jersey, okay, you know what I'm saying? But it's just different. It's not like Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? And I say that to say that a lot of times people be like, man, they just faked that whole thing. With productions, bro, it's just not that easy, number one, to just get people not to talk, you know what I'm saying? And to pull off stuff that, and I'm not saying they're not pulling off stuff. They haven't pulled off stuff. They have, you know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, I think it's a spirit where people are too naive to see stuff and be like, especially, and that's what the AI is doing. Because part of the Marine Kingdom is to confuse people. That's why the AI is coming in. Because now people don't know whether it's a computer, it's a bot. You know what I'm saying? I've been seeing this. They got the new, Kanye walking, you know what I'm saying? And they people saying, oh man, they ain't Kanye. You know what I'm saying? Like they cloned him. You know what I'm saying? So that's where you get into the Marine Kingdom. Because ain't nobody got a word from Yahuwah. Y'all just speculate on just what y'all think, you know what I'm saying? What, oh man, I could tell it's a robot. You know what I'm saying? A robot. It's a deep fake. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm not saying stuff can't be deep fakes. But what I'm saying is, the people that's saying this stuff, they're not in the spirit of prophecy. Because that's what you're going to need in these days, man. You're going to need the spirit of prophecy. You better seek that gift. in Yahushua Mashiach. What I'm saying is they trying to blur the lines. We talked about that on the technology situation. Is they gonna blur the line so much to where people that's in the flesh, they ain't gonna be able to tell. You ain't gonna be able to tell what's what. So they want you to think, is it a deep fake? Is it a this? Is it real? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, they want to confuse you, right? So predictive programming, right? Why? Because they want to get you on the wrong side. The part of the confusion is to get you on the wrong side so you can rebel and be in pride. So now you got the people, once again, you got the people that's like, imagine that. I'm gonna just say this real quick and I'm gonna move on. Imagine you was in one of these events that somebody got shot and you go on the internet and these people saying they wasn't even real. And you looked at your child in the casket. You got the bill for the funeral. This is a whole new crazy. This is a whole new crazy. And you look at, and these people, like, that's why they suing certain people to be like, man, like, you defend, like, they should get sued. The people that's saying this stuff, they should have to answer for the words they spoke, right? And so when you seeing these things, my encouragement is to just pray and let Yahushua show you what's what, because they blurring the line, bro, with the confusion. You see what I'm saying? All right, so let's keep it going, right? So because part of their agenda, they don't want people to resist, right? They want people. Their agenda is they want people to be on board on what they doing. They want people to be on board with what they doing. They don't want people to be like fighting against it, because if people fighting against it, they ain't gonna really be able to move like they want to move, right? So, sorry. So the people in this age are desiring divination. This is the Chat GPT, right? It uses, now let's talk about Chat GPT. I hope I'm getting the name right. The chat joint, the chat bot, the chat AI bot. And they got other ones too, like on, that's popping up. That's just the main ones everybody been talking about. All right, so let me break down how it works. So it uses data that is gathered to create a tangible asset. It's a form of divination. But here's the thing. People have already been in rebellion before they accepted divination. In other words, the reason why divination of AI is growing so fast is the people or C is in confusion and rebellion, meaning that the reason why AI is taking off like it took off is because people were in divination already. And so it was a perfect opportunity for AI to take off. It's a perfect opportunity for AI to take off right now. Why? Because AI relies on the divination. It relies on, it's like the gambling, like you putting something in there and you hoping, that you're going to get a certain thing out of it. The divination. AI tech. Artificial intelligence. A lot of the AI is demonically inspired by divination. When it comes to AI, the foundation is just not tech, it's divination. That's what you got to get. Is man made the tech. The tech didn't make itself. So what I'm saying is divination. You got to look into that. The tech didn't just pop up one day. It did just appear. Somebody had to code that thing. Somebody had to get the idea to do the algorithm. That's what we're going to talk about, the algorithm. They had to do these things. They had to get into it to make whatever product it is. And it's the people who make these algorithms who are the real witches and warlocks, right? Stuff like the stock market. Like people can't even explain. They had a video where a dude was experienced stock market trader, right? And they asking him, man, hey man, explain what the algorithm of the future, the futures are or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And he couldn't even break it. He said some stuff, man, but he really wasn't. And he saw himself not know what he's talking about. But it's some kind of trickery. It was weird. It's weirdness. It was weirdness, right? The algorithm. So the formula behind AI tech is based off a similar equation, the formula behind AI tech is based off equations like this, right? So you have the program is created. It's a collection of knowledge of the programmer has gathered into an asset bank. So the programmer is created, the collection of knowledge the programmer has gathered into an asset bank. There's an algorithm for a desired output. There is input in data, and there's an output of data to the consumer, right? That's a very simple equation. Now let's talk about the algorithm, right? According to the definition, oh, this is deep. Hey, it's a process or set of rules to be followed in calculations or other problem-solving operations, especially by a computer. Remember, we said divination is a set of rules set by demons for humans to inquire and input data and follow. Now let's break that down even simpler, right? When you go to not you, because I pray you wouldn't do this, but let's say when a person goes to with a tarot card reader or a palm reader or something like that, what are they doing? They are inputting information into the proxy, which is the AI bot, you know what I'm saying, that is before them, and the algorithm that has already been created, the lie, right? That demon that is using that person as a proxy answers them and gives them the desired output or output to that person that put the input information in there. So in other words, that's the divination. It's a system. They got an algorithm, got a formula. Somebody created it behind it. It's a witch or something like when you go to the palm reader person, that's a witch, right? That's the machine. That's the machine. You got to put the information into the machine in order to get back. I'm not talking about Google, that's a record of all information. I'm talking about something that is going to create something to give to you. It's artificial intelligence. It's artificial life, right? Because what they doing is they getting you to inquire of it to get an output. So why that's divination and why that word keeps coming up is because the whole thing about divination is for a person to inquire of a demon. So that's the whole thing about AI tech is a lot of demons are not just behind a lot of the outputs that people are putting into the thing, but also it's getting people to follow the rules of demons. And why it's illegal, and let's talk about, I know this is very basic, why it's illegal is because Yahushua created us. He created mankind, Adam. And because he created Adam, mankind, we are his property. And because we are his property, we are to follow him. He's our maker. He's like, it's like Literally, he got all the instructions to you. You know what I'm saying? He got all the things that make you tick. You know how you work properly. You know what I'm saying? He got all the he got the whole 9 yards. He's your creator, right? So when you go outside that box of that relationship, and now you inquire of a demon, you are now making them the Elohim, the master of your soul. And that is a violation of the highest order, because you cut yourself off from Yahushua. So divination, and the thing about divination, once again, because it don't have to be that deep as a tarot card. It can be, and we're gonna talk about it and we're gonna get back. It could be putting something into the computer to create something, to inquire of this computer, to create something, to get a result. And we're gonna talk about that AI demon art. We're gonna talk about it, because a lot of Israelites is embracing demonic art. I was literally I was on Instagram, and I was seeing a lot of, like, it was some popular Israelites that were, sharing a lot of this AI Hebrew art. And literally, like, my Ruach was like, man, don't look at it. Don't, because I saw some of it, but what I'm saying, don't look at it, is don't be impressed. Like, I was saying, don't be impressed by, like, don't be like, ooh, because let me, and I don't know if I share this on the technology one, but let me share this, right? Because I had so originally they had a Facebook. It was like oh no, I seen it on Instagram. Yeah, it was a fashion show. It was a fashion show, right? It was, but it was like these elders. And I was like, yo, I seen it on Instagram. I was like, yo, what camera are they using, bro? Like, how is this camera so crispy like that? And I like the picture. So I go on Facebook, and this is my first time really encountering AI art like that. Because they had, like I said, they had elders, supposedly. They had elders, black people, and they had on, like, these African garbs, you know what I'm saying, and all this. And I'm like, yo. So I see this woman on the internet, and she's saying, and she was on some falsehood too. She was on the oneness thing, but she actually interviewed this person on her talk show, but she thought it was cool. And I thought, like I said, at the moment I thought it was cool. And then Yahuwah was like, bro, that's not even real. Like I seen, because she was saying, she was sharing that it wasn't real, that somebody put it in the AI program, it was this AI thing. But she was like, it's like somebody embracing it and they don't feel no kind of way about it. And I was like, bro, it's AI? Hold on, what is going on? I said, what is going on? I looked at it, I was like, hold on. What are you telling me? It's like, it wasn't real. It was a computer. They put it in there, they put the information in and churned it out. I'm like, what? And then literally I started, then that was the first, and then that was the first wave. And then all of a sudden, like, Instagram is flooded with all this stuff, right? And I'm saying in my mind, yeah, please don't let them come and start trying to make Yahushua or some depictions of it. I mean, I might have been saying at the same time I'm seeing it, right? I'm like, oh no, man. And y'all had warned us a while back about, he put in my mind beast art. That's what it is. It's beast art. And we're gonna take it further. When you see in these AI images, and I don't care if you're a popular Israelite, you promoting that, it's from the Marine Kingdom. It's the Marine Kingdom tech. It's part of the beast. It's part of and people that are you, if you promoting that AI art and you created that stuff, you need to repent. You need to repent. And if you know somebody that's on it, they need to repent. Because what it's doing, that means that they got some kind of doorway open to the image of the beast. Because they are, I mean, part of them is worshiping it. Because you can't acquire of no demon with the algorithm and all that without having some kind of like darkness in you. It just is what it is. I'm not saying you can't get fooled. Cause like I said, I got tricked for a moment and who said, "Hey man, look at that. Hey, don't you know what I'm saying?" I had to take back my like. I had to go back on this again. Where my like at, cuz? Give me give my like back. You know what I'm saying? Give my like back, right? Let me try. Cause Yahuwah was getting on me about these algorithms, bro. You know what I'm saying? Cause like you have Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, they be having these algorithms. So you gotta do this, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. That's how you get your stuff promoted and all that other stuff, man. Don't be falling into that, man. You don't know what that algorithm is demonic, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that there's simple things like, okay, yeah, put your thumbnail on there for people to watch the video, click on this stuff. But they be having like 10 things and they want you to follow these rules, man. Don't get into that, bro. Right? Don't get caught up into that. So the modern agenda of the algorithm is to exploit the spirit of rejection. Now we're getting into something else. The spirit of rejection and hatred, that it might turn into pride and rebellion and lead into witchcraft and lead into blasphemy. So let's say that again. Is the Marine Kingdom, a lot of times they exploit people. That's why when you have a lot of the makeup stuff, a lot of the beauty products, a lot of the vain stuff, which we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that. A lot of this vain stuff, a lot of it's coming from the Marine Kingdom, but because it all I want to hold something. I'm gonna hold on to that thing I'm gonna get to, but they exploit the spirit of rejection a lot. They exploit the spirit of rejection, the spirit of hatred. So a lot of people that have been rejected or feel rejected or whatever, they dealing with that spirit of rejection, they're perfect targets for the Marine Kingdom. And that's why you have a lot of the supermodels and a lot of the these celebrities and people want to, because a lot of these people, I remember watching this video and of Drake, right? And I'm gonna name drop, because maybe, Drake will come across this video if y'all will, but I don't know what that is. And I remember seeing him, I remember seeing two videos of him. One was when he was like super, super, super like new. He was fresh. He was just a fresh rapper. And then seeing him older, and this is like super recent. And it was literally like the same person. And when I say the same person, I mean him suffering from the spirit of rejection. Because I was asking you, I was like, man, why is this dude so popular? And I know, the drag and all that stuff like that. But I'm saying, like, what quality in him attracts people to his music? And Yah revealed that it's this spirit of rejection. Because when you look, when Yah was showing me this guy, I was like, bro, this guy is unsure of himself, and he is feeling. I'm rejected. I remember he was saying something about like he told his dad that he was this and that, and his dad said, man, why are you saying that, bro? Like, you know what happened and all this. Like, he was like, he's doing that to sell records. It's just, when you look into it, the reason why people are attracted to him, because they have that same quality. Birds of a feather flock together. Right? So people that have been heavily rejected, they really suffer from that. These are the people that getting billions and billions of views. Same thing with Beyonce. I remember seeing a video with Beyonce when she first came out, and she it's like she looks so insecure. That's the crazy thing. When you start looking at some, like, and I had an experience recently with the actress. And far as presentation wise, far as like, attractive, but in a sense of like her, if you want to say beauty, beauty is vain, but in a sense of like visually, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, the insecurity, it's like this. I ain't gonna say this is a formula, right? Because I don't want to stereotype, but it's like, man, the some of the most attractive people and the most talented people have the highest insecurities compared to other people. It's crazy. Like when that's one of the things, when you look at the Hollywood thing and you're like, oh man, and everybody, because that you hear the Hollywood gossip, everybody want to be like the celebrities, but bro, a lot of them are suffering like very heavily with. That's why you hear these stories of people doing overdoses and stuff, because they struggling, bro. They are struggling. You need to find out that they're struggling, and you don't need to be looking into this gossip and trying to, what they doing, inquiring what they doing. It's like, bro, some of them got really bad issues, which we're gonna talk about. So you got social media, you got modern sports, you got religion, you got movies. Get healed from the spirit of rejection. Get healed, man. Right? So you got trends. A lot of these trends be set by the marine kingdom, a lot of demonic forces. And basically sorry, my nose is kind of acting up. Predictive analytics. So basically that's a situation too where they use a lot of consumer behavior and they just get all that data to try to anticipate what somebody gonna do in the future. That's part of like, it's kind of like another version of divination, because it's like a false prophecy, because they don't, they trying to predict how people gonna move. So predictive programming in AI powered movies, right? And when I say AI powered, I don't mean like just like by the program. So in other words, you have these Hollywood studios using predictive analytics. That's trying to see how people can, like that's what I learned in business. Like you'll take data, what's your customer gonna be doing next week and all that stuff, right? And they ask you who, they just say, what the analytics say, that this should be this and this and that, it's divination, right? So why does all this matter? Why does all this matter? Before we get to why it all matters, because we got more. We just diving in. Hey, you've been listening to the Explicit Truth Podcast. I'm your host, 𝐤𝐄𝐄. Hey man, we got our inside house sponsors, Woke Picks. Hey, check out Woke Picks. Hey, Hidden Treasures for the Parable series just dropped. There's 3 episodes right now streaming on Woke Picks. Man, go support, go check it out, go sign up, man. Check out what we about, man. We growing, man. Praise Yahuwah, man, that we growing in titles, man. And so yeah, you've been listening to the Explicit Truth Podcast. We got more coming on the way concerning the marine kingdom and the AI agenda, but we're gonna come back to it. Shalom. You are listening to the Explicit Truth Podcast.